Hello everyone, I'm Alicia. For this tutorial, I'm going to show you guys how to make these beautiful beaded hair barrettes. These barrettes are so gorgeous. I really love them. I made them as sparkly as I possibly could. This one here, I used all check fire polish beads because they're all faceted and it's really pretty. I love it. The next one I did pearls, and on top of the pearls I did Swarovski crystals, and this one here is just blinging. It is so gorgeous, and this would be great for a wedding. So yeah, they're pretty awesome. I'm really happy about them. The next one here I also did with all fire polish beads, and of course I have seed beads in there, but all the faceted ones are fire polished. Now, I would say that these barrettes are actually pretty simple to make. So if you have a daughter, maybe you should make these with her. Or if she's too young, you can make them for her. Or even if you have grandchildren, this would be a great project to do with them. So, yeah, I'm really happy about this, and I'm loving these hair barrettes. I can't wait to wear mine, and I hope you guys are going to enjoy these as much as I do. So keep watching, and I'm going to show you all the stuff you're going to need. Here is the list of materials you will need to make one beaded barrette. Now, the string material we use for this is very important because if we use anything else other than this, it's not going to work. So you have to use this stuff. So what is this? This is nylon coated stainless steel beading wire, also called bead stringing wire. And this stuff is really strong, and it's going to work great for what we need. Now, whenever I'm weaving with beads, and if I'm using monofilament or beading wire, I always use, when I'm weaving, 0.012 because this is the best size for weaving because I can make several passes and I don't really have problems going through the beads because this is thin stuff, but yet it's very strong. It has a 12-pound break and the monofilament has a 10-pound break. You can see it right here, 10-pound test. That's what that means. It breaks over 10 pounds. Now, I do not recommend to use monofilament for this barrette because it's not going to last. The hair barrette is really sharp on the sides and it's going to cut the monofilament. So again, the best thing to use is 4 feet of nylon coated stainless steel beading wire, and this is the size I'm using. And over here it actually says extra small, so this is the smallest you can get in this wire. Now, you cannot tie this wire into knots. It's just not going to work. So you're going to have to use crimp tubes. So I am using #1 crimp tubes, and I'm actually going to be using 2 of these to make it durable. Okay, now you're also going to need a hair barrette, and this one is 3 inches long. I think there's 2 different sizes, 2 inches and 3 inches. Now, for us adult women, you probably want to use the 3-inch long because we have a lot of hair and we have to, you know, get it to fit in the barrette. Now, if you're making barrettes for a little girl and she has thin hair, then you probably want to use the 2-inch size. Now, I want to say that Walmart sells these. Now, you can get these at any craft store, but I think Walmart sells these in the jewelry making aisle, but in the findings section, so you have to look there. Now, if you don't see it there, it could be in the kids crafts, so you want to check both areas to see if you can find it in Walmart. And again, if you can't get it at Walmart, you can find these hair barrettes at any craft store. You're also going to need 28 6mm round beads. I haven't tried bicones for this, but I don't really know if they would work because they're kind of an unusual shape to be laying on this flat surface. So when you go to pick out your 6mm round beads, you want to make sure that they have kind of large holes in them because we will be passing through them several times. So I'm using these here. They have kind of large holes. Okay? And again, you'll need 28 6mm beads. 28. Now, you're also going to need 36 4mm bicone or round beads, so whatever you want. These are bicones. I use bicones in this. These are check fire polish rounds, and these are also check fire polish rounds. So whatever shape you want, as long as they are 4mm. Now, you're also going to need 20 6/0 seed beads, and if you don't want to use 6/0s, you can use 3mm rounds in place of them. You're also going to need 9 11/0 seed beads and 2 crimp tubes, which I already mentioned that, but it's in my bowl, so I might as well point it out. 2 crimp tubes, And again, they are #1 crimp tubes. Now we will be needing tools for this. We're going to need chain nose pliers to squeeze our crimp tubes flat. And you're also going to need wire cutters to cut our wire. And to make things easier on us, if we get in a little tough spot, it's kind of nice to have some tweezers to get us out of there. And these are beading tweezers, but you could probably get away with tweezers that you use for like your eyebrows or for getting splinters out. Those should also work too if they have a fine point like this. So this is the list of materials, and remember, I always put the material list down there in the description bar below the video. So look down there if you want to see everything in writing. I went ahead and I cut 4 feet of my nylon coated stainless steel wire, and now what I'm going to do is take all my 6mm beads and I'm going to weave them onto the top of my barrette. So I'm going to pick up one 6mm round bead and I'm going to let that slide down my wire. I'm going to put the ends of my wire together just like that, make sure they're even, and I'm going to slide this bead all the way down to the center of my beading wire. Now I'm going to take my barrette and I'm going to pass my wire through one of these holes. It does not matter which hole, but I have to make sure that I'm going to go through the top, not from the bottom, but through the top. So I'm going to go through the top just like this, make sure my ends are even, pull this through, and my bead that I just added on is going to sit on the top of this in this little hole right here. Okay, so what you want to do is hold this bead between your fingers, make sure the ends of your beading wire are even, just like this, okay? Hold this bead in position, and once you get it just right to where it looks like this, because it kind of wants to turn, go ahead and let these wires go. Now you can see what they just did. When I let them go, they split like this. So the wire that's on my left is going right and the wire that's on my right is going left. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the wire on my left, I'm going to take that wire and I'm going to pass it through the right side of my bead. Okay, I'm going to pull this through, and this is what we have. What looks like this. Now I'm going to take the wire that's coming out the right hole and going left, this wire over here, my other wire, and I'm going to pass through the opposite side of the bead. Okay, so this wire that's coming out of this hole, going through this hole and coming around, we're going to pass through this side of the bead with the wire, okay? So now I just did the same thing to both sides. So now we have our bead anchored on top of our barrette. We want to make sure that the wire is sitting on the sides of the barrette. So just like this, okay? One wire on each side and it looks just like that. Okay? I'm going to make sure that my ends are even. And they are. Okay? Make sure this is tight, and again you want to make sure that the wire stays on the sides. You don't want it at the end here. Next thing I'm going to do, pull this tight, is get my ends, and I'm going to pick up one 6mm bead on each end, and then I'm going to pick up another one and cross through it. So this is like a 2-needle right angle weave is what we're going to be doing. Okay, so bring the bead down and it looks like this. Now I'm going to attach it to the top of my barrette. Okay, so I'm going to lay this down on the top of my barrette, pull these wires tight, both wires tight, so it looks like this. I'm going to take one of my wires, doesn't matter which right now because they're both the same length, and I'm going to take this one here. I'm going to pass it under my barrette, so under this top bar. We want to be careful that we don't grab the spring trigger right here. So I'm going to go under the bar, the top one, just like this, pull it through. And what I'm doing is I'm wrapping my wire around and I'm going through this bead right here. Okay, so now I'm going to pass through there and I'm going to pull this through, and this is just anchoring our beads to the top of the barrette. Okay, so this is what it looks like. I'm going to go ahead and pull both of my wires tight, and if it looks loose like this on this side, all you have to do to fix that is pull this bead up, the one we crossed through, pull the wires, and then pull it back down. Okay, and pull it tight. And this is what we have. Okay, so we just attached 4 beads. Next thing we have to do is add some more beads. So I'm pulling these wires tight, and I'm going to zoom in some. Okay, a little too far. About right here. Okay, so pulling these wires tight, I'm going to pick up 1/6 millimeter on each end, slide that down, and then I'm going to pick up another one, and I'm going to cross through it just like this and bring this bead down. Be careful that you don't kink this stuff, because once it's kinked, it stays like that, messed up, and you can't get the kink out. Okay, so right now I'm crossing through this bead, and what I'm going to do is put my ends together, and one of them is going to be longer, like 1 inch longer. I'm going to take the longer one, and I'm going to pass under this bar again. So my right one over here is longer, so I'm going to take the longer one, pass under the top bar, pull it through, okay, and then I'm going to take it and pass through this bead here, attaching it to the top of our barrette. Okay, I'm going to lay this down. I'm going to pull these wires again so my beads are tightly fitting together, and then I'm going to pull both of my wires tight. Okay, and this is what we have. Okay, so pull this tight. Now I'm going to pick up 1/6 millimeter bead on each end, and I'm going to pick up another one and cross through it. Okay, bring this bead down just like this and pull the strings tight. Now both of these ends should be even, so it does not matter which end you take. So I'm just going to take this one on the right side again, and I'm going to pass under the top bar, just the top one. Be careful not to pass under the spring bar. Okay, pull that through just like that, taking the same string, and I'm passing through that bead there. Okay, I'm laying this down. I'm going to loosen this up so I can pull it tight like this. Okay, I'm going to put my finger on top of this, and then I'm going to pull both wires tight. Okay, so this is what we have so far. Okay, so again, pull the wires tight and pick up some more beads. I'm going to pick up 1/6 millimeter on each end, slide those down, pick up another one and cross through it. Bring this down, pull it tight. Now find which end is longer. So I'm putting them together, pulling it out, and this side is longer for me. So if the other side's longer for you, this is what you're going to do. You're going to pass underneath the first bar, the top one up here, pull it through just like this, and then I'm going to go back through this bead. Okay, pull that through. I'm going to sit this down, turn it around, pull these wires tight, put my finger on it, and then pull the wires tight here, because sometimes it loosens up in here. It did it down here to us. Okay, so this is what it looks like right now. Always make sure that you pull it tight, because it wants to loosen up, because it is wire and it's stiff stuff. Okay, so pulling it tight, I'm now going to pick up 1/6 millimeter on each end, and then I'm going to pick up a third bead, and I'm going to cross through it. bringing it down, and laying it on top. Again, pulling it very tight. I think my ends should be even this time, and they are, so it does not matter which wire. I'm going to take one of these wires, does not matter which, and I'm going to pass it under the top bar, pull it through, and then I'm going to go through this bead, okay? Anchoring it again to the barrette and pulling my wires tight, just like that. Okay, now I have to pick up more beads. So one bead on each end, and then picking up a third bead and crossing through it. Okay, careful it doesn't kink, and pull this down. Now one of my ends should be longer. Okay, I'm going to take the longer end, which is this wire again, this one's longer, and I'm going to pass underneath this bar, pull the wire through, and then I'm going to pass back through this bead in a circle, is what it's doing. It's making a circle, and it looks like that. Okay, so I'm going to lay this down, loosen this up, pull these wires tight, and then I'm going to hold my finger on top and pull both wires. Okay, and it didn't work. As you see, it got away from me and it's loose over here. So to fix that, I'm just going to wiggle this, grab those wires again, pull them tight, hold it down, and pull the wires. Okay, now it is tight. It is straightened out for me. Okay, so again, make sure you keep those wires tight. So I'm going to pick up another bead on each end, one bead each end, then pick up a third bead and cross through it and bring it down. Okay, bring my ends together. They're the same length, so it doesn't matter which wire we take. I'm just going to take this one over here on the side again that seems to keep going underneath the top. So I'm taking this one, passing it under the top, pulling it through, and then I'm going to pass it through this bead again, just like that. Okay, again I'm going to pull these wires here, which it is this wire right here that we looped around that I'm pulling tight. Okay, pulling that tight, putting my finger on top and pulling both wires tight. We now have what looks like this. Okay, so now I'm going to pick up more beads, one bead on each end, and then picking up a third and crossing through that third bead, bringing this down, pulling it tight, finding my longer wire, which again is this one here on the right. I'm going to pass under the top bar. You have to be careful because this is the point where we could snatch up our spring bar, and we don't want that spring bar. So I'm just going to go under this bar. Oops, I got away. Underneath this bar, pull it through. Okay, so it looks good. See how it's sitting above the spring bar now? Flipping this over, I'm going to pass through this bead, just like that. Getting this wire out of the way. I'm going to loosen this up and I'm going to pull it tight. Oh, it's actually tying like a little knot right here, so I'm just going to fix that. See how it's twisting right here? You never want that to happen when you're weaving. Always straighten it out. It's actually tying a half hitch knot there, so we don't need that to happen. So I'm going to pull this tight, put my finger on top, and pull both wires. Okay. Okay, so now I have this. Okay, I only have 3 beads left to add. I'm going to put one on each end. Then I'm going to pick up my last and I'm going to crisscross through it, pulling it tight, just like this. Okay, pull both ends tight. Then I'm going to put my finger up here on the top to hold it still. And I'm going to take one of my wires, I'm going to do this one first, and what I'm going to do is it's going to wrap around this side of the barrette, and it's going to go through this hole just like this, and it's going to match the other side. Okay, so just like that. I'm going to swap hands, take my other needle or other wire, I'm going to go through the bottom just like this and come up through this side here, okay, and pull this wire through just like this. Now I'm going to pull both of my wires tight, and this is what we have. Okay, now this end and this end match, they look the same, and our bead is sitting on the top of that hole. Now the next thing to do is get into position to add our embellishing beads in the top. So I'm going to take my wire, the one that's over here, and I'm going to pass through this 6mm bead. Okay, now I'm going to take the other wire and I'm going to pass through the same bead just like this. Careful it does not kink on us, and pull both ends tight, and this is what we have. So now both ends look the same. Okay, now we are ready to embellish the top. Okay, so now I have my crystals and my seed beads to embellish the top, and when we're embellishing the top, this thing is flipping all over the place. So for you guys, so you can see what I'm doing, and this might help you out too, I discovered a way to keep it still. Nail trimmers. All I do is I open the nail trimmer, I turn this on the side, I put the top of the nail trimmer through here, and then I set it just like this. And this does wobble back and forth, but at least it's not flipping and flinging everywhere. It's staying kind of in one place. So I found this to be very helpful. Okay, so right now I am right here, and what I have to do is take each string, and I'm going to pick up one crystal on each end, okay, just like this. Then I'm going to pick up one seed bead and I'm going to cross through it, bring it down, and it's going to sit on top of our round beads just like this. Okay, pull that snug. I'm going to pick up another crystal, one on each side, and be careful your strings don't kink on you. Okay, one crystal each side, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through this bead right here. So through the next bead and pull this through. Okay, now I'm going to take my other wire and I'm going to put it through the same bead just like this and pull it through. Okay, I'm going to pull both of these tight now, and this is what we have. It looks like a little X of crystals. Okay, next thing to do is the same thing. We're going to repeat the same steps over and over. I'm going to pick up one crystal on each end, pick up one seed bead. Oops, it just went flying off my desk. Pick up one seed bead and cross through it, bring it down. Then I'm going to pick up one crystal on each end and slide that down. I'm going to pick this up so you can see. I'm going to pass through this bead right here. So I'm passing through this one. I picked up my crystals through that seed bead, have a crystal on this wire. So now I'm going to take this wire and I'm going to go through this bead. And it's wanting to kink on me, so I'm just going to straighten that out. Okay, pull it snug like that. Now I'm going to take my other wire and do the same thing, but passing in the opposite direction. So through this bead, I'm going through this one and I'm pulling it through. Okay, now I'm pulling both of my wires tight. Okay, and I have my little X, my little crystal X. Okay, again, I'm going to do the same thing. One crystal on each end, one seed bead, and cross through the seed bead. Bring the seed bead down, pull it tight. Now I'm going to pick up one crystal on each end, slide those down, pick this up so you can see. I came through that bead, picked up two crystals, crossed through the seed bead, picked up one crystal on each wire, and now I'm going to go through the next bead. Okay, just like this, pull it through, careful it doesn't kink on you. Now I'm going to the next wire, and I'm going to put it through the same bead but in the opposite direction. Okay, pull this through. And this is what we have. Now I'm going to pull both of my wires tight, and I'm going to repeat the same steps. One crystal on each wire, one seed bead, cross through it, bring it down, one crystal, each wire, slide it down, picking this up. I came through that bead, picked up two crystals, crossed through a seed bead, then I have one crystal on each side, and now I'm going to cross through this bead right here. Okay, so pushing my wand through there, pulling it through, pulling it snug, taking my other wire, I already have a crystal on that, I'm passing through the same bead in the opposite direction. Pulling this through. Careful it doesn't kink. Okay, I'm going to pull this tight, both wires tight, and show you what it looks like. So now I'm going to keep going, repeating these same steps. If you already get what I'm doing, just fast forward the video till you get to where you don't know what to do next. So I'm going to pick up one crystal each end, pick up a seed bead, cross through it, bring it down. Again, I'm going to pick up one crystal on each wire and slide that down. And then I'm going to cross through the next bead right here. So I'm going through there, pulling this through. I'm going to take the other wire and do the same thing. Go through this same bead but through the opposite side and pull this wire through just like that. And now I'm going to pull it tight. Okay, you can pull it as tight as you want, it's not going to break. Okay, now I'm going to pick up one bicone on each side, one seed bead, and I'm crossing through the seed bead, bringing it down. Now one bicone again on each side, sliding that down, and now I'm going to go to the next bead, which is this one. Okay, so I'm just going to pass through this bead here. Now I'm going to take my other wire and do the same thing through this bead. And I got this wire caught up in there and it's trying to tie a knot on me. So I'm just going to pass back out through this loop. Okay, and then I'm going to pull both of these wires tight, just like this. And this is what we have. Okay, so if you understand what I'm doing, repeating these steps, then you can go ahead and fast forward the video. But if you want me to go all the way through, then I'll keep going and just follow me. One bicone each end, cross through a seed bead, bring it down. One bicone on each end, slide it down, pick up the barrette. I'm going to go through the next bead, so this one right here. So we're not crossing through any of the beads on the sides yet. We'll be doing that when we add the 6 seed beads. Okay, so I'm pulling this wire through, And now I have my little X. I'm taking my other wire and I'm going to pass through the same bead on the opposite side. Just like that. Pulling it tight. And this is what we have, okay? Now I only have 2 more to go right there. So I'm going to pick up a crystal, 1 on each needle, if I can get the little thing on my wire there. And then a seed bead, cross to the seed bead, bring that down, pick up a crystal, 1 on each wire. And I'm just going to go ahead and take this off of this for now because I'm really close to the end, okay? So out of here, I'm going to go through the next bead, pass through it like this. I'm going to take my other wire and pass through the same bead, opposite side. Then pull both wires tight. And this is what we have so far. So we have 1 more left. So pulling it tight, I'm going to pick up 1 crystal on each end, pick up my last seed bead. This is my 9th 11-0 seed bead, crossing through that, and then I'm going to pick up 1 crystal on each wire, sliding that down. I'm going to cross through the bead here on the end, okay? Just like that, taking my other wire and doing the same thing. Okay, pulling the ends tight. We now have this. So now our whole top is embellished, and what we have to do next is hide the barrette, because you could see it from the side here. You could see the silver. So that's what we're going to do with our 6/0. So we're going to hide the barrette. So the whole top looks like this, where you cannot see the barrette unless it's turned to the side. So now I have to get out my 6/0 seed beads. Okay, so I have my 6/0 seed beads here, and this is the time where you might need some tweezers, and every time I've did it, I've had to use them. So let's see if I could do it this time without them. Okay, so before I pick up the 6/0 seed beads, I kind of stretch the top of this out. I just put my thumbs here on the ends, and I go like this, and I stretch it out, just to make sure that these gaps are separated nicely, so the 6/0 seed beads will pop right in there. Okay, so this is where we left off. I have 1 wire on each side, and I'm going to pull them tight, because as you can see, this wire is getting loose. Okay, so pulling these wires tight. I'm going to pick up 1 6/0 seed bead, and I'm going to put it right here on the corner. So I'm going to pass through this bead here. I'm going to pull this through. It's wanting to twist on me. Do not let it do that, because it's trying to kink, okay? So there I have 1 bead. And to tighten this up, I'm going to do the same thing on this side. So I'm flipping this over. I'm picking up 1 6/0 seed bead, and I'm going to fill in this corner. Okay? Now I can't get out of here because my wire keeps trying to go to the next bead. So this is where I'm going to use my tweezers and pull that out, okay? So it doesn't happen. Alright? So now I'm going to pull both of my wires tight. And this is what we have. Okay, turning this back around. I'm going to work on the right side because I'm right-handed. So I'm going to pick up 1 6/0 seed bead, pass through this bead on the side, and I have to use my tweezers to grab the wire. Okay, so grabbing that wire, pulling that bead into that hole there. I'm going to pick up my next one, and I'm going to pass through the next bead, just going straight up, grabbing that wire, pulling that bead into place. Next bead through the next 6mm, grabbing the end of the wire, pulling that bead in the hole. Next bead, and again I have to grab that little wire. It just does not want to come out. I have to use the tweezers every time. Okay, So I'll fill that hole in. Now the next hole, passing through the next bead. I'm going to grab the wire right here and pull that into place. My next bead, going through this bead here, grabbing the wire again, pulling that through. Next bead, picking it up through the next 6mm. I'm going to grab my wire tail, pull that into place, and then my next one. Okay, don't need the tweezers for this end. Okay, pulling that tight, and this is what we have. Okay, now I'm going to go to the other end over here, and since I'm right-handed, I'm turning it around. Again, I'm going to stretch this out a little bit because it scrunches up on me. I'm going to pick up a 6mm bead, and I'm going to pass through my next one here. Then I have to use my tweezers. Okay, another 6mm through my neck, or 6/0 I mean, through the 6mm. Pulling that through, picking up another seed bead, passing through my next bead here, grabbing it with my tweezers. So this part is very simple to do. We're just filling in the gaps. Okay. Every time you pick up a bead, you have to grab your tweezers and grab your tail and pull it through. Going for the next bead, and went way too far through. Pulling that in. I have one hole right here in the side. Okay, and this is what it looks like. Now I'm going to pull this tight, both ends tight, and I'm going to fill the corners in. So I'm taking one of my wires, and I'm passing through this bead here. Okay, and this is the bead at the very end that is the toughest to go through. These beads have large holes, so it's not that bad, but I think it was this one here I struggled on just a little bit passing through, but I did manage. I used the tweezers to push it through, okay? And you might have to do that if you can't get it through. Now I'm going to see if I can get this one through. So as you can see, I'm not pulling that bead into the corner yet. I'm going to get the other side before I do that. Okay, and this went through. Oh, and I forgot to pick my bead up. Watch me not be able to get back through now. Okay, and there I am. Okay, now I'm going to grab my ends. And I'm going to pull my wire this way. So pull both of the wires tight. Just like that. And what I do, I just grab them and I put my thumb in it and I rock it side to side, and now they're tight. So now we have to get in position to put our crimps on. So now I'm going to crimp it. In order to do that, I have to open the hair clip, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my wires and I'm going to pass them underneath of these two wires right here. So my wire is straight out from the 6mm bead. I'm going to take a wire and I'm going to pass underneath this wire. Okay. And then I'm going to take my tweezers, because I can't grab it unless I use them, and grab the wire. Okay. And I'm going to have the wire try to stay on the side over here at the very end. Okay, I'm just going to pull it like that. Now I'm going to take my other wire and do the same thing. I'm going to pass underneath this wire, grab my tweezers, and try to pull it all the way through. Okay. Again, I want to kind of be on the end up here. So I'm going to pull both of my wires tight. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pick up my 2 crimp tubes and I'm going to crisscross my wires through both of them, and I'm going to bring it down. I'll show you what it looks like. Looks like this. And I'm trying to get this wire to go up here. I didn't have problems with my other ones doing that. This one's giving me a time though. Okay. So I'm going to pull it tight. Okay, then I'm going to get my chain nose pliers and I'm going to smash these guys. I'm going to do one at a time. We'll do it like this from the side. Well, first I need to make sure it's tight. Okay, I'm going to hold on to the wires and then I'm going to smash it. There's one side and here's the other. And you have to go back in from other angles and smash them. I tried to go underneath this way and crimp them. It's a little tough though. I did it with some of them, but I wasn't able to do it with all of them. Okay. Just make sure that they are completely crimped, because this side closest to the barrette sometimes does not want to crimp all the way. Okay, and then once it's crimped, what I'm going to do is take this extra wire. I'm going to go through the hole. I'm taking the wire that's on this side, going through this hole at an angle. My crimp's in the way, prevent me from doing it. Actually, that bead's in the way. Okay, I'm going to get through this hole somehow, because what I did was I hid the crimp so it didn't poke me. I'll do this side first. Okay, so I pass through the hole. That, and then I'm going to do this side. Okay, pull it through. Just cut. Pull that side through. Pull this side through. Tight, just like that. The crimps got sucked into that little hole there, and now all I have to do is trim my wire right here. And we're done. Very awesome. I really liked doing the beading wire with the crimps and not having to tie knots. That was nice, not having to deal with knots for once. And this is completely pulled into that hole, so you're not going to get poked at all by it, okay? So this is what it looks like. It's very pretty. This is it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm sorry it was so long, but I wanted to make it super duper easy so that everybody could understand how to make this barrette, and even a beginner could make it. So that's why it's so long. And if that at all bothered you how long it was, really all you have to do is just fast forward the video. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Tell me what you think, because I was thinking about making more beaded barrettes in the future. So if you guys love these beaded barrettes as much as I do, leave me a comment. Tell me if you want me to make any more in the future, because I was thinking about doing all different kinds of designs for these metal clips in the future, because really these clips have been around forever and I haven't seen a whole lot of stuff done with them. Sometimes when you go to the store, you'll see the clip, but it's like attached to a metal piece. And I have one that has a big metal butterfly on it, and I wear it all the time. I love the clip, but a beaded clip that's even more awesome. So tell me what you guys think. Please like this video, leave me a comment, subscribe if you want to see more of my videos, and like me on Facebook. And don't forget to share pictures of the jewelry you've made from my videos on my Facebook page. Thank you so much for watching.